Hey guys, it's Sonil here with another one for the Keeper's Corner. We're going to go ahead and check out a few of these stages in the new campaign here, the Korgans Revenge. This is a special limited time campaign with the 1.6 update, so if you haven't gotten the update yet, you are going to have to go out and get that. If you're on iOS, I'm not sure if it's out yet. Hopefully pretty soon for you guys if it isn't. It's 18 stages total with a normal, hard, and extreme on each. The rewards are pretty significant for first-time completions and for the chests. There's about 30 wizard tickets, fair amount of food to help you get through it without having to use refreshes as well, which is very welcomed. Catacombs maps are available in these chests, as well as a new feature, which are the weapon and armor and machine upgrade tokens. They're going to come at level 20, level 50, I want to say, and each one's going to be basically a free combination for one of your items or machines. So that's going to be really helpful for a lot of people. There's 3 boss stages total, I want to say. 8, 14, and something else. Maybe not, maybe 9. But you'll see here there's some bombards. Machines, there's enemy heroes as well. If we can find one of them hiding around here somewhere. I swear there really is. Thieves, warlocks, as you see. The warlock in this one is actually pretty beefy in terms of their HP and whatnot. The boss itself is Korgan from the first chapter. Come to get his revenge after we whooped his butt the first time, and we'll deliver him another one here. The first time completions for most of these stages are pretty good. You're going to get between 300 and 1,000 gold, 1,500 gold. So you're going to want to do as many as possible with the gold boost combination here. The pirate, the thief, and the cleric. If you can get their gold boost passives around or above level 7, that's going to net you a good 60-70% bonus gold on every stage. So it's going to help you out quite a bit. For this particular fight, I'm going to give it a shot here with the Knigget, the thief, the cleric, and the pirate. Hopefully throwing some of this higher end gear on these guys should let them go through this stage pretty easily. If not, we can always sub out for some of our heavier hitters. And pardon the notifications and the helicopters, I thought I muted some of those things. Hopefully that's not the police coming to get me. But as you can see, there's 5 stages here in the last level. Korgan himself in the back is going to be backed up by a couple bandit lords and a few other mobs. On the first normal setting, it wasn't too bad. I have seen on the extreme levels there's some monsters and machines that get above level 100, so it might take some people a little while to get those ones done. In any PvE content that seems really difficult, I always suggest going with a taunter, 2 healers, and your best DPS / skill cycler. Right now it's probably going to be the shaman for most people, even with the little bit of a nerf he got in the most recent patch. And part of the reason I always use the knight in missions like this is because of inspiration. You can stack inspiration repeatedly, and it closes the level gap between you and your enemies after a while. And that's how I got through most of the endgame campaign in Chapter 6 and the end of the Mason's Isle and the Gold Road and things like that. Similarly, the Paladin and the War Master have some pretty good buffs that can stack with each other to give you some serious defense. One thing I like about the Knight, though, is that he's buffing attack as well as defense, so it's not quite as slow. There's a little bit of a threshold. Once you hit that, you start doing some serious damage because of the buffs. This bald dude's got quite a bit of health here. As you see, I mean, I didn't bring the biggest power hitters in the back row here, but the bonus gold on that 1,000's probably worth doing this for an extra minute or two. Or 7 or 10 or 20 or some nonsense. I do apologize, the background sounds. I moved my rig outside to avoid the crazy children here for a little bit. So if you happen to hear dogs barking or police sirens or anything like that, that's just my lovely neighborhood. And you see there, the damage on those guys built up quite a bit with the inspiration stacks, which is what we're going to be looking for in teams like this with the buffer. One of the reasons I like the Knight's damage buff or attack buff is that you can choose to use it when you want to, as opposed to, say, Battle Fury from the War Master, which is on a predetermined cycle. You're going to have to wait for it and hope that your skills time out when you need it. There are a few things you can do with that, as I've mentioned a few other places with the Kensai, for instance. Blade Meditation and Battle Furies tend to run on a pretty similar cycle, so you can usually always get those two to go off back to back before you send a perfect strike or something like that out from Kensai for a pretty significant damage boost, especially if you're running both the attack and crit passives on them, and can get your hands on a Vorpal Sword for the extra 9% crit chance on that, and some Vicious Vestments for the crit chance on that as well. Getting a 20-30% crit chance Kensai shouldn't be too difficult after a certain point. Unfortunately, crit chance like that still isn't very consistent. Your high attack rating heroes like the Shaman and the Blackguard are going to do more flat DPS because they don't have to rely on the chance of getting crits. And another thing you'll notice, the walls now kind of act as a taunt for the machine or monster or hero behind them. If there's a wall, you can't target the unit behind them with ranged attacks anymore. It doesn't show as a taunt, but it does act in the same way, only for that particular row. So make sure you take out those walls accordingly. And there will be a few stages throughout this bonus campaign where you see, like, one of them has a wall with the Warlock behind it, and a few other troublesome places where the walls can become a bit of a pain in the butt. And, of course, the ones with Thorns damage on them, make sure you don't overdo it on the melee attacks, unless you have a healer or resurrect to take care of that. It is definitely freezing cold outside, though. Luckily, you guys can't see me shaking the screen. And if you want to do this faster, like I said, you don't have to bring these gold bonus guys. I imagine if I had brought the Blackguard and the Shaman and Kensai and the Archmage, this would have been done already. But at 1,000 gold for the first bonus, I want to say we're going to end up getting an extra 500. 18 stages, 3 on each. I'd have to say if you ran these guys through the whole thing, you're going to end up getting 50,000 bonus gold. Which is pretty darn nice. There's also some gold in some of the completion chests. Mostly 1,000. A lot of food rewards as well. And then you're going to have a handful of Catacombs maps when you finish as well to get some instant food rewards to help you stack up a little more gold. So running through this whole campaign is going to be a pretty darn good source of gold. Which I will continue to be searching for the best ways for earning gold and crafting materials to help alleviate those costs on people as they try and get their epics and super rares crafted as they get higher up in the brackets. You know, as I covered in the crafting guide, diversity is the name of the game when it comes to crafting. You really don't want to invest too heavily in 1 or 2 or 3 heroes. You know, you got to keep in mind in hero battles you're going to need at least 2 viable teams. Having 3 good teams is going to greatly enhance your chances of winning. So having 6 to 10 heroes that have decent gear that hasn't been combined and enchanted yet is a lot better than having 4 guys who have plus 10 level 60 items. Even if you split those guys 2 and 2 between 2 separate teams, there's a lot of groups out there that are going to overpower you. So I definitely suggest when you're crafting, when you're building up your resources, keep in mind a list of 5 or 6 guys that you're going to want to be crafting for. That list should always include 2 tanks for your hero battles and at least 1 for your tower attacks. You're going to want to have 1 to 2 healers and 1 to 2 support heroes like the Necromancer or the War Master, and the rest is going to be pure DPS. A lot of you are pretty aware of the pure DPS heroes that are out there. You're looking at the Shaman, the Kensai, the Archmage, the Barbarian, the Thief can have some pretty good uses, the Blackguard. And there are some other interesting options out there too, depending on your level. The Amazon is always really good with the right weapons. The Spell Sword has a lot of very useful abilities. The additional starting soul skill or soul energy is going to help in a lot of tower battles and things like that to help you get early meteor swarms off. The Dispel is going to help you counter buff teams. Unfortunately, she does kind of lose her purpose after a certain threshold in terms of level, because you really got to carry 2 healers most of the places you're ending up in terms of tower battles and things like that. But again, definitely diversifying everything is going to help you out. And something we covered in another video is the Feast Hall. Leveling up your Feast Hall does increase the scaling of your rewards. That being said, the last 3 Feast Hall levels are going to give you 2 to 3 epics if you don't do that. So if you haven't filled out your teams enough to be winning at least 50% of your PvP battles, I would focus on that before spending gold on anything else. Once you start to get rounded out, you're going to want to start combining and enchanting and things like that. The new combining tokens from these campaigns are going to help a lot of us who have been selling items to get our items up a little faster. Unfortunately, that's something that we had that a lot of the beta players and players before Global, I'm sure, wish they did. I've heard that there were people that got to the point of crafting items just to combine them because they weren't able to keep up with the curve of other players who had legions of items to combine. And it's worth noting in that sense, too, that every item you craft has a different max level. And as you see, I've made so many videos in the last few days, hopefully we don't run out of room. You can do it, Knigget, don't die. I don't have the soul energy to revive you. And you see, I've been using Righteous Call. I like Righteous Call because with Ambushers, it's one of the few heals that's going to gain you some soul skill. Or I keep saying soul skill, soul energy as you heal. I know it doesn't heal for a lot with Righteous. Does do a lot more damage with the Ambushers hacker. I've seen crits of 600-700, sometimes more with debuffs and whatnot up. But it definitely is good for building up that soul energy to make sure you have it for revives when you need them. It's up to you what skill you want to replace it for. I would not get rid of Cleanse in any situation. The Knight takes the most of his damage from poison, so you always want to have a Cleanse available for him. Depending on your star level, your skills are going to heal for different amounts, obviously. Eventually, Quick Heal becomes pretty viable for most situations. But there are times when giving up Power Heal is not going to be too great for you either. I probably shouldn't have wasted a soul skill on that cannon shot, but I think they can live through it, hopefully. It'd be a drag to die after getting this far. And you're going to know the limits of your own hero stock better than anybody else. If your thief and pirate aren't up to par, bring just your cleric, But try and get whatever gold bonuses you can when you're running through this, because it really will add up over time. And that poison is just wrecking him. I apologize too, this video is a bit of a disaster, but I wanted to get something out for you guys to see on this new campaign here today. When I get some free time, I'll put together some better videos and some better commentary on these things. Hopefully something while I'm not freezing. That's another reason I like Righteous Call as well, because you tend to focus so many heals on your tank. It is nice to have something that puts a little bit of the HP back on your backline guys without having to change the focus healing. Hopefully now that the rest of those guys are down, the Poisoned Blade shouldn't be too bad. But that does seem to be the problem ability in this situation here, is his Poisoned Blade is really doing quite a bit of damage on my knight, who's wearing a dread plate and has a katana for that extra poison resistance, and it just goes to show you how powerful poison and damage over time spells really can be. And he's a little more than halfway gone now, so this shouldn't be too much longer. Well, it looks like the knight will probably take 1 or 2 more deaths, but hopefully the cleric can keep him cleansed and avoid that. As you see, once you get it down to just the boss, the skill cycles go pretty quick when you're using heroes like this. That's another reason I stress using short speed skills as often as possible. In any situation where you outnumber your opponent, you're going to get off way more attacks than if you're stuck with a bunch of medium and long speed skills. And that's that. That's Korgans Revenge on hard with the 3 gold boosters. As you can see, it's going to be probably pretty difficult to do the extreme with this team, but netted us an extra 699 gold. So if we do that over the course of 25, 30, 40 of these stages, it's going to be really useful. And here you see the armor boosters and weapon boosters that are going to give us free combinations on our armor and weapons. Anyhow, I'm going to get out of here before this thing shuts off. Hope you guys enjoyed it.